Okay, hi people, it's Angie, Angela Power Disney again, Angie Power Disney on YouTube. AngelasCashes.org, no apostrophe, CACHES, and BitChute, and mostly Facebook in terms of daily blogging, Angela Teresa Power Disney. And I'm kind of honoured, I will say it, this is a high velocity guest that I've chosen to work with, and I only have a small channel, having had my main channel nuked, and my Facebook page with millions of engagements also nuked. So I'm confined to a little corner of internet again. But I know that people that matter follow this work. And I believe Luke is one of those people that matter on the international scene. He specialises as an Australian in exile. He specialises in exposing the OTO in Australia and the normalizing paedophilia agenda and the hiding behind the skirts of the LGBT community agenda. But it's not just, it is international. Even though the New World Order is a global agenda and we all try and retain our national sovereignty and culture and identity, the truth is, with technology and with secret societies having a corner on technology, we have to approach this internationally. So I'm just going to address a couple of issues quickly. We are going to address the quote-unquote war in between Russia and Ukraine, but also involving NATO, America, Germany, England, Israel,
Australia,
Russia, Australia, and China. We are going to address that primarily in this conversation, but just to tie up a couple of loose ends, I'm almost done. I'm very fond of Matt Taylor, and I think he's very cutting edge, but I also am disturbed by some flip-flopping as I see it. I'm glad he's made peace with Muttley and hosted a debate between Muttley, Rees and Luke. But I do believe Rees, Muttley, self-confessed Satanist following OTO and others, family connected to Ian Puddick, I do believe he showed his true colours towards the end of the broadcast, where Luke gentlemanly asked for an apology or retraction for myself for the bullying and trolling conducted against me by Rees Muttley on Twitter and other platforms, where he called me the bitch from Oldcastle, where he featured a welfare check during a family crisis and mental health breakdown on my own part, featured that as him swatting me for truth telling, and just said, no, let's leave her out of it. Let's celebrate that you and I, Rees, you and I, Luke, have come to an understanding, and we've disclosed our abuses, and isn't it wonderful? Everything's great. Well, sorry, that was the truer version of Rees, and I do acknowledge and appreciate the things you shared and how horrified you were at your first experience at Heaven, and I do acknowledge Matt for his story of when he was groomed or approached by a paedophile, a gay paedophile. Those are just two adjectives or two accurate descriptions. I do think personal testimonies are very powerful. I also acknowledge Luke for his. And there we are, gone again. There we are, interfered. No, that's Luke's screen sharing. So look,
hello.
That's my up to date, and that's the personal stuff. And I'm really not interested, like Luke, I'm not interested in the small stuff. Let's just stop these top level people, and let's just expose these.
We have a lot. Yeah. We have a lot to talk about tonight before we scare everyone away. Being another normal bitching with troll fest, we're going to talk about Ukraine. Yeah. My 2 solids I've done for Putin. We're going to. Rees claims to be against all these hoaxes and fakers and stuff. I'm going to actually show you how bizarre it is that 60 Minutes Australia, the flagship commercial investigative journalist show is now putting out stuff that is claiming aliens are real. And we're going to piss take that and show that one of the guests on the show is in the OTO. And so show the first pictures drawn of a grey alien born by anus, they say, the OTO, called Lam, Aleister Crowley. So we're gonna have a talk about the satanic monument plot to build a monument in Australia next to Australia's first prime minister to finish up with. But first, we're going to talk about Ukraine. Now, there's only one correction you've ever said wrong. That was the best introduction I've ever had for an interview you've just done before. Last time you said I was in the same league as Brendan O'Connell, and I was told to tell, all my friends told me to tell you off for that, because Brendan O'Connell and I have a history. All I'll say is he's going on Radio Rents with Jeff Rents and saying all this stuff I learned about the Intel management engine backdoors in the system, and all comes from a bunch of posts that Luke McKee was making on the MSI forums. And oh yeah, but don't talk to him. He's crazy. He's got nothing to say. Move along. And this will be the first time I will ever mention the UFOs in my work I've done. Only the piss take the mainstream news for trying to make everyone believe in them. So
my turn. We'll have to put hands up because you and I both over talk. I don't know if it's ADHD or injuries, whatever. Just to finish on the personal things, Reese denied being a useful idiot, but when challenged by Luke, why are you following 2 OTO members and several people with Aleister Crowley as their avatars? He said, "Oh, I don't know. I just sometimes just follow back. I don't look at people I follow on Twitter, and I don't remember posting what you're showing."
He only follows 300.
So there's 2 things: either you are a useful idiot and you don't know how to use Twitter, and you're following every Satanist and then denying them, like Pink News, or you know exactly what you're doing.
He is UK. His Twitter bio says UKTST, United Kingdom, the Satanic Temple, which is a low-level satanic organization, not the high-level one.
He's either lying or he is a useful idiot, and so I'm grateful.
Yeah, that screen I shared before showed him talking to Rod Cub on Twitter. Well, now it's Rod Cub Koguma, the account formerly known as Rod Swift SJW. Anyway, Rod Cub's main account, Green's candidate for Fitzroy, Australian Sodomy Party, as Bill Murenberg calls them, threatened sexual assault against an immediate family member of mine. And for Reese to be an anti-bullying activist and work now, he's since walked himself back. But at the beginning, you said that the work in Australia has global implications. That is true, because Gary Burns, who's normalizing, you know what, in Australia, he's being led by Peter Tatchell and Peter Tatchell Society in the UK, and he denied this in court. But we got into his Facebook twice. Once when his jealous boyfriend, renter spouse from Sri Lanka, forwarded me all of his emails as he was down in Melbourne with a rent boy, and the other was through Profile Engine. We got into his Facebook that way, saw the groups he was in, and this is confirmed. And there's these groups that normalize pedophilia. They operate on a international agenda.
It's a network, and it keeps coming back to Ian Puddick. And Danny Jones is another one. His real name is Lyndon Warden, and he communicates on Twitter. And I've had evidence of this with Jonathan King, who was imprisoned for paedophilia and procuring youngsters, and then bailed out by Simon Cowell for 50,000, and then allegedly exonerated. But if you look deep enough, and I salute the Anons and the deep researchers like yourself, because the proof is there if people are skilled enough to go looking for it. So that's enough on the personal stuff. Talk to me about, start where you want to start. We're going to address the
well, let's go for the highest rating stuff first.
All right.
I'm going to float some facts and some conspiracy theories linked together. There's stories you read in a newspaper.
Okay.
For example, 2014, G20, 2 Russian warships with Caliber cruise missiles standing by just outside Australian exclusive economic zone, ready to blow up the country. Now, that's actually a mainstream news story. It's true. But does anyone ask, why would Russia pay shitloads of money to send 2 warships off Australia for G20? What were their concerns? Well, this is, you know how they say it's a small world?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I didn't believe my source who told me some things. Okay. Once upon a time, I was a nobody. I was just a bouncer and an IT contractor bouncing between those jobs. Nobody special. Okay. I want to go into the back and sit in front of the TV with my family at night and chill and be like everyone else. But unfortunately, I have a Cassandra complex because I know things that if everyone else knew, it would change the world, right? And that's why I'm doing this interview with you now. So in APEC in 2007, saying the security was lax in Sydney for APEC 2007, whilst the security was lax for the event, but all the Australians were locked down and locked out of the CBD. That's where the first lockdown phrase was ever used in Australia, predictive programming. An ABC comedy sketch, and you can see the link to the video on my Deep State Pedo Hunters Telegram group, and a disposable Twitter account I made, which won't be up in a week from now, probably, called twitter.com/NIGFROM. It's named after a film advertised on IMDb, made by gay activists, so it can't be that offensive, can it? See, that's me doing my trolling, right? You know, if they're going to cancel me, why don't they cancel Jeff Bezos on IMDb, which promotes a film made by gays saying the N-word? I mean, this is me being a troll there. But anyway, there was when I was being framed up, when I was a nobody, and I was trying to make, why am I being framed up? And then I found out my ex was illegal, and the whole case, I don't have to rant about it because all the court documents and all the information is online at tinyurl.com. Now there's 2 links, and one link has the name of the Dutch word for embankment in it. So I'm not going to say that word on this stream because somehow an English word in a dictionary is offensive these days. So I'm just going to use an alternative link, tinyurl.com/TUI bashes, as in assaults, and the same word that Reese called you, bitches. So if a gay can use it, it's okay. So if you go to tinyurl.com/2E bashes bitches, TUI, you're going to see some shocking things on there. You're going to see the third post relates to Russia and the Olympics and me helping Russia get back in, using the most powerful currency for getting things done in this world, which the OTO is a mint for, and that's called child abuse blackmail.
Yeah.
I got leaked documents from Stephen McMurray, who is indeed great, and wherever he is, I hope he is safe.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, in a better place, because this world's going to shit now. Now, so I had a coffee shop in Leichhardt. I blogged everything up in real time on forums on dadsontheair.com, and I have to go get my archives to give you the exact name of the cafe, but it was a cafe with a brown paint, white writing that was on the main street of Leichhardt, and I was friends with the barista there more than the gay cop that arrested me was. And he says, I know a neighbor who lives next to that cop, and he's been saying some shit about them, and I'm going to set you up, you know, I'm going to chat with him. And this was a guy who was involved in their local, it was either the Presbyterian or the Anglican church at the top of the hill in Leichhardt. And he used to drive his little red moped around. I think the locals there might, if you remember his name, the guy I'm talking about, come contact me. And he told me 3 things, and this is all hearsay, but the hearsay checked out over time.
Yeah.
One was the Kate Howe's federal police officer girlfriend's name was Nikki. Okay, that arrested me. That checked out. I mean, coming to Putin here, don't you worry, was Nikki. That checked out because in the 2012 Operation Prospect submission to Parliament, I claimed that on the government record. Okay, I claimed it on the internet beforehand. I had found out the name of who the gay police officer arrested me was sleeping with, which is a crime of obtaining true personal information on a law enforcement officer's spouse, 60B New South Wales Crimes Act. Oh, wait, there's no gay marriage. So it's not a crime to know who a gay cop was having sex with in 2007. So the Greens Party amended the law to protect a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority, doing extreme minority politics, because gay police corrupt, because Greens only corrupt police would use 60C Crimes Act at the law's inception. So corrupt gay police sex partners. So that's who we're making laws for. And they changed the law to anyone who a police officer has an intimate personal relationship with. If you know where a police officer is sticking their things, you get to go to jail. And 60B Crimes Act says, if you would look up the law, in the prosecution is not required to prove intent, i.e. criminal intent, to do anything. Just that the information has entered the noggin of someone the police doesn't like, they will be found guilty and sent to jail for 5 years. And you're not allowed to have a jury for this serious offence, indictable offence that gets 5 years jail, just like every other indictable offence.
Okay, so just to keep it focused.
Yeah, focused. So that's one thing. We've got 2,
right,
3. To get to. Number two. He told me that there was drugs in the cop's backyard.
Right.
Okay, and this is Newtown Police, Leichhardt, Newtown, Balmain and Newtown Police, gay cops are doing drugs. It came out later that Gary Burns and his Durston, Torco, whatever lawyers that he uses as part of the public interest law clearinghouse that work with the OTO, they're representing a cabal of gay police in that district being investigated for drugs, and the Anti-Discrimination Board is fighting to protect the gay drug dealing gay cops. That all came out, SBS News. Well, that got verified. And then the third story was that the gay cops during APEC, Kate Howe's girlfriend was a federal police officer called Nikki. Okay. And like I said, you've got their gay wedding photos online on the official gay police Facebook homepage, facebook.com/police GLBTI. I'm on the internet saying it first before they announced their gay marriage. So how's that? It's incredible. Anyway, here's a story about Putin. During APEC 2007, okay, around September, when I was in the early stages of combating the police in the first legal matter that I won, and then the illegal immigrant got deported and banned from Australia for 5 years, they parked the federal police officer girlfriend of Kate Howe, the New South Wales Police, currently in the air wing, Nikki, did park a white 4-lane police car, right? A white four-lane Statesman, you know, the big police cars they use to drive people around, washed it, and then told the whole neighborhood of Leichhardt, Putin's going to be sitting in this car tomorrow. We've just washed Putin's car for the big day tomorrow. We're just going to leave it secured on the front lawn and tell all of Leichhardt, if you don't like Putin, here's his vehicle. Do whatever you want to it before tomorrow.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Now here's the thing. The first 2 claims from this source checked out, right? So in 2008, I contacted the FSB and said, holy shit, the Federal Security Bureau, new name for the KGB.
Oh, okay.
And told them about it. And in 2012, before the warships came down for the G20 to say, don't screw up. See, the other big thing about APEC 2007 is George Bush bought 3, 4, I don't know how many 747s full of his own private army with APCs and stuff to Australian soil, American soldiers with guns ready to killing any Australian. And I was actually with the with the protests, okay? And there's videos of me at the protests. I remember the police stepping over the horses against the Dick Cheney protest, because I was a lefty then. I was still beginning my journey to wake up.
Okay.
And you're gonna hate this, Angie, okay? There was actually a comedy skit at APEC, okay, done by leftist activists. And what they would wear is they would wear obviously fake blue overalls,
Okay.
police uniforms.
Yeah.
And there was a lesbian comedy skit. And I want to say the name that these lesbians gave to their own comedy skit. They were called the tranny cops. You can Google it. You can look it up. We're only talking about what a group of lesbians called their own comedy skit. Yeah. So don't. So these tranny cops were later charged with the crime of they were arrested and charged with looking too much like the real special gay police for protesting the police and doing Hitler salutes and all that stuff. Against.
So let me just interpret that for my viewers, because you go deeper in detail.
Look up, it's history from Australia, incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of people that watch my videos, they don't look up these, they don't go
news
to
articles.
They don't go to they just want to hear the truth, and they rely on it resonating with them, and they rely on it opening their minds a little bit to like, oh, this might not be as it seems. So Luke established on Matt Taylor's Black Magic Live Friday night show that Ireland is not, one of the reasons I moved back to Ireland in 1996, my family moved back in 1981, but I moved back in 1996 because I chose to raise my children in Ireland, because it's usually about 50 years behind the agenda in the UK and in the Five Eyes countries. I just thought Ireland is ostensibly neutral and old-fashioned. So thus far, we don't have a normalised gay police faction or gay mafia so-and-so. So these terms that Luke is using can be offensive to the sensibilities of those who are not familiar that these are a real thing.
I'm only saying a name of a gay street performance art troupe that the gays gave to themselves. In Australia, every Mardi Gras, there's the dykes on bikes.
Yeah,
and the gays love them. And they love being called themselves. They love being called that.
I know. It's like rappers saying that black people can call each other the N-word, but nobody else can, because otherwise it's politically incorrect. So all I'm saying is that when Luke makes off-the-cuff references, he's not being abusive. He's just
it's not being abusive
from Australia's perspective, the UK's perspective, America's perspective, like that. So
but Twitter just banned me for using that word to talk about the police. But if you go on Twitter and you search dykes on bikes, it'll be all hundreds and hundreds and thousands of gays cheering them on. Yay, the dykes on bikes are in the Mardi Gras. Yay, dykes on bikes. I mean, what's the deal?
And there is a Greek island called Lesbos. But for the sake of reaching as wide, I want to reach the conservative, slightly ignorant, in the best sense of the word, innocent, silent majority. So I'm willing to be PC on this platform for the sake of getting the truth across. So let me just say this to just refocus us. As some of you know, my colleague, my assistant, is Lithuanian and is giving me updates almost daily. He's speaking to his sister, and he's speaking to somebody who works in intelligence services over there, and he's giving me daily updates from Lithuania about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict at the moment. And he has informed me that Lithuania is being used as a staging post, but only in name only. It's kind of like what they call rhinos, Republicans in name only. Well, Lithuania is being used as a staging post, and he's been on the phone all day with his sister and with this intelligence services contact. And he said that the day before yesterday, he reported about 600 troops, which included Germans, including NATO, Americans, and mercenaries, all staging themselves in Lithuania on the side of Ukraine, or Ukraine as they call it. And it was we've seen on the mainstream media that 2 Russian troop carrier airplanes were shot down in the sky, and the report is they did have troops on board, but the first reports are saying the missiles were not Ukrainian that shot them down; they were actually American. Oh yeah, so the
mainstream news is reporting Stinger missiles were used. Stingers are Americans, infrared-seeking missiles.
Let me just finish his report, and then I'll hand over to you. So his report since Friday was, at first, it was only about 600 troops coming into Lithuania as a staging post to support Ukraine, and the reports were it's Americans, it's Germans, it's NATO, and it's mercenaries. But it seems like only a nominal amount, like 600 troops here and so many, carriers there or whatever. It's enough to alarm the Lithuanian people. And I'll give you today's update, which was NATO sending troops and weapons to Lithuania, but it seems like a token amount. But the question is, because it was American missiles that appear to have shot down the 2 troop carrier planes in the sky, the question was it Ukraine or was it these third party NATO stroke American stroke British stroke mercenary people in Lithuania? Was it them that shot them down? Now the other bit of information was 975 military targets have been hit, and of course there's the 17th letter theory, conspiracy theory, that includes many bioweapon laboratories in Ukraine, similar to Wuhan in China, and so there's a whole theory about the bio labs being knocked out for the good of humanity. And then he says an oil company has been bombarded, and the fallout from that has been a mushroom cloud, which will obviously bring back horrible memories of Chernobyl and Hiroshima. So he's giving me those updates. And then I'm watching, although not running with the 17th letter theories about everything's good, but you've got a slightly deeper, I want you to give us your bottom line. Don't go too detailed about Australian court cases, because you'll lose people's attention.
Yeah, I just made the point before.
Russian, Putin, the Olympic story, and you had another story.
Yep. I was just telling the first story. I'm going to show evidence of it now because I was saying this like a decade ago, and G20 was 2 years later when they brought in the warships to warn the police, you don't mess up Putin's security or your security is in danger. We're watching you. Because that was, and we can, I tried to, so let's go on Twitter because I can at least go full screen. It links to YouTube. Telegram's a bit too small on the PC.
Yeah. And most people
so let's share the screen and so there you go. That text wall at the back is from the most gay-friendly newspaper in the world. That would be Huffington Post, right? So Huffington Post hate speech screenshot of Don Lemon. The gay anchor on CNN, saying, I do feel a bit sorry for Jerry Sandusky, as he was doing an interview with James Cantor, famous for inventing the three-letter word map. And this is still on CNN. The very first tweet on this account, you will see said video still on CNN's YouTube channel. You just got to know where to look. So you've got Paul Joseph Watson here. My pinned tweet, during same's happening in Australia, Bernard Gaynor is exposing, whilst World War III is starting, all the military organizations are treating about rainbow coffee luncheons. And I just said, look, I said LGBT and mod LGBT don't mix. MI6 Alistair Crowley's first gay lover was a Cambridge old boy, and Russian intelligence exploited the Cambridge spy ring, hence the Spy Catcher book, which I still suggest you read in 2022. Now in 2022, they never learn. and that's UK MOD deleting their own tweets because they got shamed. Don't you love a victory? Okay, now we've got Australian fighters or refugee exfiltration experts, as they want to be known, going into maybe they're not LARPing. I know some of these people. They're going into Poland, then they're trying to get into fight for the Russians, or I think they may be laughing. I don't know, but that after they've already left, they're sending tweets to the Australian Federal Police trolling them. It just so happens I was trolling the Australian Federal Police at the same time for the story I was telling you before. Now, so I told them I fight too for the Russians on the diplomatic front. And let's scroll down. Okay, so let's look at this thread, okay? Ta-da. So that's an old Twitter account. It doesn't seem to work. But so in 2007, okay, here is an email. Oh, I'm gonna make my screen bigger for everyone. Let's make that a bit bigger. Give us a bigger square to work with. So that's an email from 2017 when the gay cops announced their gay wedding on the special gay police book homepage, confirming, you know, that Nikki was actually my eyewitness source giving me the hearsay in Australia. It checked out, you know, 3 things. So that's them checking out the wedding and rah, rah, rah. So I'm telling the Russians, you know, you can see the Russian email addresses there, Russ Trade, you know, their Australian trade delegation. And this information is important because this information about this APEC security cock up means that whenever Putin travels diplomatically now to try and negotiate an end to this war, he can demand his own armed security services so he doesn't get assassinated and World War III doesn't start and humanity ends. That's why I have a Cassandra complex. So I'm going to do my part for humanity. I'm going to go to the Russian embassy and say, make sure you take these old dossiers and and say, how is little old me, you know, as someone who's fighting with the police since 2007, knowing who in the police is driving Putin around and where Putin's vehicle was parked.
I just want to clarify and highlight that. So it looks like Luke is advocating entirely for Russia, and we're going to clarify in this that that's not necessarily the case, and so am I going to clarify that. But the bottom line is, and it's almost irrelevant, outside of the normalizing paedophilia thing, it's almost irrelevant whether they're gay police or corrupt police, or both. The truth is,
or drug dealing, corrupt gay police.
Yeah, but we can just call them police, corrupt police for now. The truth is, a policewoman advertised, this is the vehicle that's going to have Putin in it, Vladimir Putin in it tomorrow, which utterly and totally compromised. It was left unattended overnight and utterly and totally compromised his security and probably his life. And Luke informed Russia.
Well, Russia was concerned about that because Russia's federal security service is sitting in the car unarmed with this Nikki federal police officer. That they can corroborate the only person who can corroborate the third claim made by my source after the first 2 checked out. Okay. Here we have Gary Burns' own Durman Torco lawyers and the Anti-Discrimination Board Pedophilia Normalization Front targeting the police for saying you can't have an investigation against a bunch of gay cops in Newtown, Leichhardt, Balmain growing drugs. She said because it's homophobic to be against a gay cop drug ring. It's in the mainstream news. That's from SBS News, the most gay-friendly media in all of Sydney. And see the Durman Turco lawyers that pretty much only work with Gary Burns. Yeah. Literally, this is gay mafia stuff. So so let's move on. There's the gay. I'm accused of Australia's first stalking ever law. For another picture of this to zoom in, but this guy, this looks like a man here. That is Kate Howe.
Okay.
It looks like a man, especially when you zoom in. So I fled the country to get away from gay police because I had too much dirt on them. And then feminists are saying 60C Crimes Act is Australia's first anti-stalking law because it had the word stalking in legislation. I flee the country to get away from them. Now, and me is allegedly stalking that ugly man thing. Kate Howe.
Let's not get ad hominem. But it's the same as Matt Taylor tried to expose corruption in Sussex Police, and the chief of Sussex Police, Katie Bourne, then tried to do him for stalking. She failed. She failed in court, but instead of her saying, I will address the issues he's exposing of corruption, No, she said, this man is stalking me and I want him jailed. And there has since been a report of her due to company's house irregularities with her using 2 different names and birth dates, but both her. And there is actually a crime reference number for that, and credit to Andy Devine for that.
They deleted the rest of the tweets, but when people watching at the start of the broadcast going, Luke talking about Russian warships are coming to Australia, well, that's mainstream news, buddy.
I know.
I'm the only guy floating the theory why Russia would spare such an expense to ensure its leader is not assassinated, okay, because of the cock up last time. Now, so we're going to have to go to my Telegram group. Telegram, where is it? Here it is, Deep State Pedo Hunters. I was just on a stream, excuse that naughty word here. I was just on a stream which was struck off live.
Yeah.
The first time it happened with me because ASIO has, Australia is literally putting at war with Russia, doing sanctions just like America did to Japan before World War II right now. Okay. And here I am exposing that they've already done a hostility and almost got Putin killed. I may be dramatizing a lot. Now, so let's scroll up and let's see what Twitter deleted. This clip was the next, this is the one that I posted this on Twitter and they banned it for hate speech. This shows you how bad the security at APEC was. Okay, this video, you have to watch it because it is hilarious. And this video is made by leftists at the state media. Yeah. Okay, it just shows you how bad the security was. And I was actual witness. So people go, this story's not plausible. Do you really think that the gay cops would leave out Putin's car on the street in the middle of the night? Well, Russia can confirm it because they know the driver who's driving Putin around that day, okay. Nikki from the Australian Federal Police, spouse of Kate Howe. Wow. Watch this video. This video will blow your mind. Watch this.
I hope there's no copyright music.
I know it's, am I showing audio? I have to stop share and then share screen, share sound. Portion of screen
interrelated to each other.
Skip ads.
Okay, yeah, we had audio. Make sure there's no copyright music.
I know it's not copyright strike. It's taxpayer funded, and they're not hosting it anymore, so it's free.
Welcome to this special APEC wrap-up edition of The War. Great as always to have your company.
And Craig, aren't these dryers of bones great? What a fantastic, appropriate choice, wasn't it? Because after APEC refused to set targets for climate change, the world pretty much will be dry as a bone.
Leftist, isn't it? Leftist.
You can't expect too much to come out of a $330 million summit, Chris. I mean, for some leaders, it was hard enough just knowing what the summit was called.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your introduction. Thank you for being such a fine host for the OPEC summit.
Georgie. And then did you see at other times in the conference he called it IPEC, UPEC and Gregory Peck. And the gaffes then continued when he tried to praise Australia's commitment to Iraq.
As John Howard accurately noted.
Now, I'm just going to skip forwards. This ABC film crew got to drive an Osama bin Laden lookalike to the front door of George Bush's hotel. It's unbelievable. You have to watch it and see it, okay?
I don't think motorcades have had runners since JFK, especially not ones with handy cam.
But once we were rolling, nothing was going to stop us, except...
Fuck, we got a red light.
Yeah, made it through.
So watch this guy here.
Osama bin Laden. Cops can't keep Osama bin Laden waiting on his trips to meet George Bush.
It all on, we roll right up to what they call the Ring of Steel.
They've all got fake IDs on the car, everything fake.
We stopping?
No, you're from
South Wales Police Security. And they denied Russia bringing his own.
Not too much checking at that checkpoint.
Yeah, so look, we were just walking on down, right on down to the red zone. Now that is the real no-go zone, but I tell you what, it's pretty relaxed in there.
Look at this guy come here, his back to us. I don't know what he's looking at.
Yeah. Now, you know, the media said we got past a second checkpoint, but it wasn't really like a checkpoint. It was more like a guard of honour.
Yeah. They're not too fast, are they?
Yeah, now look, By this stage, it's become pretty bloody obvious the cops weren't going to stop us, so we decided to stop ourselves.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn this around. We've got to go back. We've got to go back. OK. Now, at this stage, we've got much further than we ever expected. I think that's fair to say. And all of a sudden, we're trying to turn around a motorcade right in front of George W. Bush's hotel. Chaz, I was a bit worried.
Yeah. But as for the cops, well, they weren't so worried.
Let's go back this way, OK? OK, turn around. Turn around.
Road yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, officers.
All right, hold it on that. I think that's enough
Great
of
work.
that. But
It's an epic clip. It gets a lot more funny. It even has them trolling John Lewis, which I did an epic troll with. I called him up in my, I didn't troll, but we were collaborating together. It's on the video on my SoundCloud that says, gays above God under law. Before I directly engaged the OTO, I put that little clue in there that I knew. Because I always say,
and I'm trying to keep it not so deep, just so we can go deep eventually.
But
it makes
look. This is Osama bin Laden dancing in front of
10 metres away from Bush's hotel.
in front of George Bush's hotel. There we go. So
right, okay. But Luke, just as your supporters got onto you and said don't align too closely with Brendan O'Connell, my supporters have said, don't let this guy overtalk you, or it just looks like he's using your platform. So I just wanted to make the point that the kind of gaffes that are going on with security, deliberate and otherwise, make you think that there was credibility to the multiple reports of attempted assassinations of Trump and Melania, Donald Trump and Melania. It just gives credibility to those. I'm not a 17th letter fanatic, and I'm very disappointed with much of what Trump did towards the end of his 4-year tenure. But Biden, like Boris Johnson, we are the laughing stock of the Western world. China and Russia are laughing at the people we have called leaders of the Western superpowers.
I know it's hilarious. The same gay cops the actual same gay cops who endangered Putin. Also tried to make me die for gay pride. They ordered a 60C New South Wales Crimes Act death in custody order on me to join the other two people accused of Australia's rarest crime of getting dirt on cops that always ends in death in custody before me. Now they've created a friggin' monster. You know, you can't be extradited to a death penalty country.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've got an extradition treaty in Vietnam, but Australia hasn't got the balls to do it, because then they're going to have to say what happened to the two people accused of 60C New South Wales Crimes Act before me. Yeah, what about that?
I went to Lanzarote for 2 years because I had the heat on me for covering a Sabbatean Frankist cult in North London, and it was getting really heated for me, and I was advised to go to Lanzarote because even though they're technically part of Spain as the Canary Islands, they were not fond of extraditing to the UK. And I did go for 2 years, but I missed my children and grandchildren, and it's not my culture. I do feel predominantly Irish, even though I sound English. And I thought, why should I be in exile for telling the truth, right? For telling the truth. But I just want to also, because I've got family stuff to do in half an hour, that's the maximum, we've got more. But I wanted to say, just in my general research over the last 12 years, I've seen Vladimir Putin wearing garb, Freemasonic secret society garb, which I think was the Order of the Garter. There's a royal connected to the Queen. There's this Order of the Royal Garter or something, and which Prince William has recently been. No, Tony Blair. Tony Blair has recently been inducted into. It's like the Golden Dawn. It's like all those secret societies. But Tony Blair was recently inducted into the Royal Order of the Garter, something like that. And but I think I've seen pictures of Putin in that or a similar secret society order, which also included Muhammad al-Fayed. And Muhammad al-Fayed, the father of Dodi that died with Princess Diana, and who bought Harrods, and underneath Harrods is the SIGINT, Signals Intelligence underground base under Harrods, SIGINT. That you can confirm that. But Muhammad al-Fayed and his brother, for quite a long time, were refused access to the top Masonic and secret society and royal, like, the Golden Fleece or the Dawn or Golden Dawn or Royal Garter. They were refused access, and they were furious because no matter how many billions they kept throwing at the British establishment, the door was closed to them. But eventually they got in. But I've seen Putin in amongst them. And even if you say you've got valid reservations about Brendan O'Connell, like any possibly limited hangout, much of what they say is true. And he says that Vladimir Putin is close friends with Benjamin Netanyahu and Xi Jinping. That there's a connection, the Belt and Road. There is a connection between Iran, Israel, China, and Russia. So even though the normal people are being pulled into this, oh, poor Ukraine, terrible Russia narrative, but it's on some level a false flag on a huge scale. And Brendan brought up a really good point. If Putin really meant war against Ukraine, how come 4G internet connections are working perfectly as my Lithuanian assistant phones his sister and stays on the phone all day, or speaks to somebody he knows in Lithuanian intelligence? How come they've got perfect internet coverage? Because a serious attempt at war would have knocked out communications as the first step.
What we're looking at, I was just going through some tweets there, backing up.
Did you listen to anything I said?
Yeah, I listened to what you said. We're talking about Brendan, and you're talking about normally when there is Russia does actually have incredibly advanced jamming systems.
Yes,
they do. That is a valid
and they're not
claim.
They're not deploying them.
How do you know it's not military intelligence making fake videos recorded and shipped out before the war started?
Because my assistant is speaking to his sister in Lithuania and his intelligence services contact with perfect internet connection for hours each day. That's how.
So maybe Russia wants it open. Maybe Russia wants it open.
That's the question I was trying to highlight.
So what we're looking at now is Reese's mate, David D. Dingy, says, I'm at every single one of my videos.
Show David what?
David with an E, Lee Ding, D-I-N-G-U-E.
That's one of my trolls since 2000.
Yeah, that's one. That is working with Reese, and he says, I am anti-gay because every single one of my videos that you see on the channel are anti-pedophile. And if you're anti-pedophile, you're anti-gay because gay stands with queer heroes who rape the children, or be a homophobe. I mean, look at it. That's just
David Ledang is saying that.
Yep, look at it right there.
Right. Let me just give you some background on him.
Yeah.
He's trolled me since 2015. Ledang also stands for dingo, and dingo is another word for El Coyote. The Hoaxstead Research professional trolling setup, the main person went by El Coyote, which is another word for human trafficker. So dingo and coyote, David Ledang, they're all connected. But I suspect that people like James Hind and maybe David Ledang are starting to question whether they've been used as useful idiots within an OTO agenda.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're waking
up. James Hind is disclosing about having DID. He's disclosing his own sexual abuse in childhood. Muttley Reese admitted that he doesn't know if he's gay because he was sodomized as a child against his will. He agrees there is a nature versus nurture question unanswered. which
Yeah, we know
ties in
that.
with what you said.
I got him to agree to that.
Yeah,
There's
that
two
was
schools of
phenomenal.
thought.
And it ties
And
in with what you said, that children's sexuality is malleable during adolescence.
I didn't say it. Scientific American did
Yeah.
and published it.
Exactly. So you've got 20 minutes. Just
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna shut up.
now you've seen a story about Putin. It sounded crazy. Lesbian cops leaving Putin's car on the front lawn at night. That couldn't be possible. But how the hell was Osama bin Laden lookalike, in a fake motorcade able to drive up to the exact front door of George Bush's hotel?
And how the hell are drones allowed to fly over Trump in Scotland when he was in power? The assassination attempts against Trump during his 4 years in power, they sound like conspiracy theories, but
I think Trump is more of a control opposition myself. But let's move on. Okay. So next solid I did for Putin. We're going to change the topic. I'm going to share the full screen, not the full screen, the full tab. Let's just share this group of tabs here. Okay, so we'll close that one. Then we're going to go to tinyurl.com/Dutch word for embankment, COP, Dutch word for embankment, COP. Okay, and we're going to go to, remember I said I was been on gay radio shows and the host said he supports my cause. I can play that now too if you want, but now this is on bulletproof hosting from a particular.
Stay focused. We've literally got.
Yeah, this is so because I'm on gay radio, I must be gay because Reese says because I've used a nationalist website, I must be a Natsok, and because I married Vietnamese, I must be a race mixer. So I'm Luke, the gay race mixing Nazi, because whoever you associate with is exactly who you are, right?
Yeah.
I'm very promiscuous who I associate with to get my message out as an activist. So when they pigeonhole and attack you this way.
But my English grandpa did used to say, "Show me your company and I'll show you your character."
Okay, so let's look at this story. So this is the whole thing with, this is the cop, one of the two, this is the other cop that came with Kate Howe that has a rugby cup named after her. Yeah. And the football club, the football club people have this whole violence against women policy. And they said, we in the football will never promote someone who bashes a woman, but lesbians are inferior to the straight men we apply these standards to. Therefore, we're going to have the Tui Ormsby mainstream media confirmed woman basher football cup because gays can't be held to the same standards as straight people. Anyway, let's just skip that whole story. Now, this is the whole thing about Connect Canada, and we talked about last time, and the, Trudeau being asked, to make that policy, all those women raped in Canada, just like they were in Australia. Now, here we go. Here's Russia connection. This is what we're here for.
Yes.
Sports and integrity, that's an oxymoron in Australia. That's what I told to the private WhatsApp account of the media spokesman for sportsintegrity.gov.au. This is the Wood Royal Commission. We played this clip last time, didn't we?
I don't remember, but I know it was a complete farce.
Yeah, it was a complete farce.
Yeah.
The head of the gay lobby was saying it was homophobic to be against the boy brothel because we can't destroy the life of the customers of the child prostitute boy brothel because they're gay. Because gay rights is inclusive of boy brothels. This is the guy who wrote the book on gay marriage. This shows you, this is hardcore truth from government sources. The link's on here anyway. So
it's not us blurring the lines, it's them deliberately blurring the lines.
This is Justice James Woods running the World Anti-Doping Association. Now, as you know, Stephen McMurray has been missing for a long time. So I've had this document below that he gave me, which you can download from this link. Justice Woods, raping a boy, Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse. Assessment inquiry session of Mr. Dean Thomas Chisholm Henry at Silverwater Metropolitan Remand and Reception Centre, Silverwater Jail, on Wednesday, the 8th of June, 2014 at 12:58 p.m. Present to a commission officer, Darren Lattimore. Also present, Jack Dalby, Canberra Rape Crisis Centre, who I spoke to confirm the document correct. Now, so you got Justice James Woods named as a pedophile, right? Yeah. And the document's a genuine leak. Yeah. But that doesn't prove he's a pedophile. What proves he's a pedophile is me going to these people. Anti-Doping Agency.ru. I was talking to these people a few years ago, and I'm saying, I really hope you can go public, but if you don't, I'll forgive you. That's the Russian Anti-Doping Agency, okay?
Right.
And we'll be hit with a copyright if we play this video.
No, don't. I don't want any more.
So we won't.
Yeah.
So we won't.
Yeah.
But I suggest everyone go to America Uncensored and watch their Olympic corruption video, which shows Australian corruption in the Olympics, not Justice James Woods, and ask the question, how the hell did Russia get back into the Olympics?
Yeah.
Well, Luke McKee gave them the best currency, the most powerful currency that never depreciates in this world, that's used to control all our leaders by a minority of rich families. If you want to be a politician, good luck if you haven't been to an OTO or what do they have in America with the CIA? They have the
brownstone parties.
No, the Yale Society.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones, yeah. Unless you've gone to a Skull and Bones shit mud wrestling thing, and told all your secrets to be blackmailed against you from the coffin, or unless you've gone to an OTO Gnostic Catholic mass child orgy, you won't be trusted by the people who really control the electronic voting systems these days, and you'll go nowhere in politics.
Yeah.
That's why there's shills everywhere. Anyway, so there you go. That's this guy Woods is heading the World Anti-Doping Agency. I've got the receipts for giving it to Russia. Russia used this currency, and to everyone's surprise, after being formally banned from the Olympics, they got back in. So thanks to, I think, I'm just putting it out there. Have you got a better theory how Russia got back into the Olympics?
I believe.
Have you got a better theory why 2 Russian warships were sent to Australia's border of our EEZ maritime border in 2014? You got any better theories for what I'm putting forwards based on evidence, my life experience?
I'm going to let you get to your second Russian proof. I believe you.
I've done 2. I've already done 2. It's the security cock up at APEC and me getting Russia into the Olympics with this
the
scandal.
That was outrageous, and the Russian Olympics, and I believe you. And to bring it up to date, I think Russia was supposed to host the Champions League final, and it was announced that they wouldn't be allowed to. The matches in Russia or Ukraine, soccer we call it, or football, will be put in a neutral location. And then the hilarious one that Nikki Cooper brought forward is it was announced that Russia will not be able to participate in the next Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, what a sanction. Trust me, Russia has actually prepared. Russia has prepared. And I think something useful I can contribute. Okay, go ahead. Is there's a little known skirmish between North and South Korea that happened when I was there, and it was provoked by America and South Korea, and it's a lot in common with Ukraine. I would love to talk about it.
Where did you live?
At the time this was happening, I was living near the 2nd Naval Fleet headquarters west of Suwon. Oh my God, I have to remember the name. Pyeongtaek. I was living right next door to the Pyeongtaek Naval Fleet headquarters.
Wow.
Okay, and there's so much similarities with what's happening with Ukraine, because I'm teaching all the Navy lieutenants' kids. And I'm like connected to what's happening. I saw all the K1 tanks, going out onto the pontoons to be moved out to the island before it was officially announced. And if I was to talk about Korean troop movements, I would be, I couldn't talk about that. But I'm hearing Fox News and ABC government propaganda saying that there's been fighters shooting each other's jets down. I'm calling up and saying, stop your bullshit, because I'm on the ground here. Wow. I'm like your correspondents. Wow. And they're hyping up the whole thing. Now, here's what happened. If you occupy someone's territory, right? Okay.
My recording signal is flashing, but you're getting a full recording.
I'm getting a recording, yeah.
All right, keep going.
If you occupy someone's territory with a military force and that territory is not resisted, then you forfeit your claim to it under international law. Now, South Korea and Australia, and I think America as well, have not subscribed to the international law of the sea on maritime boundaries. Australia, because of stealing East Timorese oil and gas. And I think there's this island, Yangpyeong, is right next to North Korea. You know, it's north of Incheon. It's basically right next to the North Korean coast.
Okay.
And so America, they had a naval exit. Now, 6 months before, America tried to bring CSN 75, 76 aircraft carrier group up to Pyeongtaek Naval Fleet Headquarters, where I was, you know, for an event. And China said, if you bring an American aircraft carrier into operational range of Beijing, we will declare it. That will be a declaration of war. You will not do it, said the Chinese. So the Americans got scared. They parked their aircraft carrier at Busan. They flew up a couple of Ospreys to do the event they already had planned to, you know, look at the wreckage of the Chonan, which was a South Korean patrol frigate, small frigate, that was sunk. Okay, and there's a whole conspiracy about that there too, being blamed on North Korea, because they found they found wreckage of the torpedo which did it. Okay, and it said Ilbon on the torpedo. And when Koreans count like that, they don't say that's like number 1 in South Korean. But in North Korea, they write Ilho, Ilho. You know, understand there's some small differences between South Korean and North Korean dialects, Chosunor and Hangulkor.
Yeah.
Okay, so
detailed for my.
What I'm saying is, there's only 3 people that had those torpedoes: Germany, Israel, and North Korea. So this is
where I need to highlight Germany. I need to highlight Israel. We need to highlight them, and we need to say that China is standing with Russia. And
South Korea had the torpedoes. North Korea didn't have that model torpedo. It was a scandal. It was a false flag. Anyway, so basically what happened is the Americans did a provocation first. When America starts bringing in all these weapons into Ukraine, it's a friggin' provocation to war.
Yeah.
Putin is reactionary, okay? He's going to have a NATO at his doorstep if he doesn't go in. You can't. Allowing all those man pads in is a provocation, okay? And so when they had a military exercise 3 months later, right? Okay, the Yangpyeong Island artillery on Yangpyeong fired out to the sea, or fired into the sea near North Korea, I think. Okay. And under internet, and North Korea has signed on to the UN law of the sea. So if someone fires a military equipment on land that you lay claim to, that's your land, and you don't try and repel that attack, you understand, under international law, you have to fire back.
Rights. It's like squatting rights.
Yeah, squatting rights, like that. So North Korea fires back, and then boom, 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 Yangpyeong, North Korean artillery, South Korean artillery, South Koreans island of Yangpyeong, and there's 7-Eleven up there, gets blown up, kaboom. So that's perfect. Now America brings in their aircraft carrier, where China said no before. America got what they bloody wanted. They had their naval operations right next to Beijing, in their saber rattling shit. And America, it was America got what they wanted to solve that problem of China threatening them, because they got to say there's an incident in North Korea. We got the support, and they instigated a fight with North Korea by provoking them. Okay, and the same shit is going down in Ukraine. You don't provoke the bear.
Yeah, you don't poke the bear, I agree. But if you take Europe as an example, right, I was born in a military hospital, which was a catchment for France, Germany, and another country, Belgium. And so, and they're all so closely tied by boundaries, you can't say that France doing whatever in France is by de facto a threat to Germany. You can't get super paranoid. Like even Lithuania saying we're being used as a staging host for NATO and Germans, Americans, and mercenaries and the Brits, even though that's very alarming, but it's not a reason to declare war. Just because there's a line that says this is a boundary, you're Germany, we're France or Belgium, you can't say you're too close for comfort unless you make all these. Between Gibraltar and Spain, when I lived there as a child, there was no man's land. I think the same between East and West Germany with the Berlin Wall. You had to have a no man's land, like a buffering zone. So maybe all Putin's trying to do is recapture the part of Ukraine that is pro-Russia and identifies as Russian. Maybe he just wants that part of Ukraine to say, this is our buffer zone. If you want to play war games and amass people there and in Lithuania, just that'll do. We'll keep our own part as the buffer zone. And that's what I remember with Gibraltar, and the same with the Berlin Wall. You'd see family members shouting to each other across the barricades. And that seems to be possibly all that Putin is looking for, is a buffer zone. I'm taking back.
I disagree. It's more like in World War II, where the Poles got a whole bunch of extra land. Putin said, you take it from the horse's mouth, Putin. Watch his speech. It's just like World War II, when the Germans lost about a quarter of their nation size, and all these ethnic German people were absorbed by other nations, right? And then the Poles went on a genocide campaign against ethnic Germans, and Hitler said, "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." Okay, I'm going in. World War II. Now, if you just listen to Putin's speech about the history lesson, that Ukraine was never meant to be that big. We're once part of the Soviet Union. The nationalists in Ukraine would have never got that much land that doesn't belong to them. So Donetsk, you can't say Donetsk isn't full. It's mostly full of Russian people. That's why they're fighting Ukraine for the last.
I've got 5 minutes left, and what I want to just remind people of is Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and these videos can easily be found online. And comment under this video, any of these references we're making, is Joe Biden in Ukraine holding to ransom the leaders, saying, I've got a check here from Obama, to whom I'm vice president at the time. Was it 6 billion or something? I've got some crazy check, and I'm getting on my plane in 6 hours. And unless you take your dogs investigating my methodated, paedophilic, horrendously corrupt son, I'm going to go back to America with this check in my hand. And so they fired the person that was investigating Hunter Biden for corruption, for child abuse, for meth addiction, for filtering off millions and giving his father a percentage like a mafia family. That is hugely important. And Biden won that. The guy got fired, and they put in a friendly leader. And there is an alleged Nazi history to the leadership of the portion of the Ukraine which is not in favor of their previously Russian identity. So we're not coming down black and white in favor of Russia against Ukraine. Nobody should be killed. Most of all, civilians. It's outrageous that mercenaries are getting involved and shooting planes out of the sky. It's outrageous that NATO and America and Germany and different countries are going in, pretending to act on behalf of Ukraine. I hate war. We're not black and white. We're not saying Putin's a saint. I'm saying he's definitely associated with Israel, China, and Iran.
I want to show you a picture of Terry Bean and Biden's son, and also because of my last live stream. Now that Terry Bean's free from jail, I found out Terry Bean was sponsoring a whole bunch of 2020 candidates, whilst on bail for child porn, big money. And then he sponsors the money to Open Secrets. So when 3 days later, when I'm doing the interview with Jim Fetzer, the Open Secrets was down. Now I found out Terry Bean's giving money to Open Secrets because of me. I'm going to show the tweets of Hunter Biden and Terry Bean together, that VIP pedophile. Birds of a feather flock together. I'm scrolling down for my retweets. I'm going to find it.
While you're finding it,
yeah.
Credit to Jason Goodman. Hunter Biden is living in Venice Beach in Los Angeles, California, and he's selling artwork for more than Picasso's art. $500,000 for artwork by Hunter Biden, whose laptop is still missing in action.
Wow. One of Reese's friends here out trolling me just deleted their account. Interesting. It's probably made by LGBT Youth Scotland to try and fight with me. Oh, who's that? Who's that? Terry Bean, super VIP pedophile who gets charged with child rape but doesn't get a trial for 10 years. Then Wikipedia edits out the part about his own partner, Kyle Lawson, being convicted of the child rape, who swore under oath to the police he was in the child rape and went on the boy next. But that's not relevant. Wikipedia deletes that.
Okay, so this time we're going to end timely because we'll go again next Sunday.
Look.
Just no,
Terry Bean.
No, Luke. I know because of yours and my background, we have mental injuries. I just want you to give people your BitChute, nothing else, and then comment under my video. Go for it. You've got 1 minute. Okay, well, my BitChute is here on bitchute.com/Hojuruku. And you can, there's the videos of Terry Bean. That's the live stream I just talked about when I found out that I couldn't go to the Open Secrets website because they blocked all of Vietnam. Absolutely. And Terry Bean just donated them money to try and delete his own dark LGBT pedo money too. Hojuruku, Hojuruku. And my Telegram group is where you get the bleeding edge stuff and the exclusives, deep state pedo hunters on Putin's platform. All right. God bless. Talk to you next Sunday. All right. See you later. Love to the family. You too. Bye. All right.